Yo, peace family. So title of the video is Are we witnessing the end of the United States as we know it? And I mean if you see all the things that's happening and going around and um, media wise and the type of things that they're talking about, the back and forth between the governments, um, the Gavin Newsom, Trump, all of them in particular, you know, when you talk about ancient empires and how they collapse based off of economic uh situations. We're not too far from the we're not too far from the herd. You understand? um we have big money issues. We have a government that loves to print money all the time, and I've talked about that in other videos about printing money and not understanding that if you have more money circulating into the economy, it drives the prices up on everything when it comes to goods and services and stuff like that. So it's crazy. Like everything is so behind, man. I mean, we're in a situation where, I really don't know what's gonna, change or what's gonna, come about it. But I just know that it's not going in the right direction. I don't care what, media station tells you, how many times, Trump salutes and, and he shakes hands with other um, presidents and stuff like that. Doesn't mean shit. Um, all I know is like, things like this, and I don't like to really support these mega corporations, but things like this right here, this is a tall, this is a tall, right? That's a tall. About a year ago, a tall was about maybe 4 inches taller than this little cup here. Like this is not a tall. This is a water cup. And now when you ask for a tall at Starbucks, they give you this little water cup, but you're paying the same price for a tall cup from about a year ago. You understand what I'm saying? Um, and that's called what you call shrinkflation. So you're dumbing down the product size, but you're still charging the customer um, the same amount, if not more, in pricing. So, everything is all over the place when it comes to the United States. You have to be a damn fool right now to think that things are going like they're supposed to be going. Like I just gave you a prime example, you know, um, with the products that you buy. I mean, you have shrinkflation, funflation, stellflation, and the list goes on. And like I said, you got two different um, public officials that are going back and forth at each other, like we're not all in the same country. So those type of vibes give you civil war vibes. You know what I mean? And it makes a division amongst all the different states and things like that. You're gonna have the left and the right and the red and the blue and all of that shit. And and it's just, yeah, it's going downhill, man. I don't know which other way I'd be able to explain it. You know, but these people make these videos on YouTube about all these solutions. Like they're not solutions. It's all a facade to keep you motivated for something that's not changing. And that's the problem that I have with motivation, is because motivation is a fake feeling. You know what I mean? Like you could be motivated, but nothing can ever happen after you be motivated. If you're inspired, that could be different. You know, you might be able to, you know, make some moves being inspired. But that's what they do. They make all these videos on YouTube, you know, talking about, oh, you got all of these different options and stuff. You don't have a lot of options, man. You know, all I see people doing right now is, you know, working their fingers to the bone. You know, they're talking about, you know, how hard it is to, you know, pay for your rent, you know, pay for your utilities. You know, people are crying. People are in their cars, you know, staying in their vehicles because, you know, places are a little bit too, not a little bit, they're much expensive, and they continue to move up in price because of the, you know, the ass backwards economic system that we have here, you know. And one of those things that bother me about that is that, you know, people are very ignorant to the fact that these specific things are happening, and at the same time they ignore they ignore what's going on, you know. Like you can't ignore major situations and expect them to just like disappear, you know. And that's what we have. That's where everybody's mindset is, man. I just see it. You know, I feel the vibes of it. You know, you see that people, they completely ignore, and how they ignore things. I'm gonna go ahead and touch back on another video that I just did. How do they ignore these things? They ignore these type of things by spending, right? They just figure like, shit, if I could just buy something, if I could just buy something, you know, I could, you know, it could just help me forget about all the dumb shit that's going on in the US, you know? And, you know, it's not really, you know, helpful that, you know, the mega corps and the oligarchs and stuff, they pump out all these ads, you know, on your phone, and it encourages you to continue to be buying shit. So, like I said, you go and you know, you just start hitting the buy button on everything, and you know, before you know, you get a few things sent to the house and shit. You feel fabulous, and you don't really think about, you know, your dollar declining. You don't really think about your, when you go to the grocery store, you know, your the fruits keep fluctuating in price, but steadily moving upwards, right? I bought a chocolate chip cookie today, which is fucking ridiculous, and I shouldn't have done that. I bought a chocolate chip cookie today, and it was $3.45. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I remember a cookie. You could buy a cookie for 25 to 50 cents, right? If you went to the mall, if you was at school back in the day, you could buy a chocolate chip cookie about this size for 50 cents. $3.45 for a fucking cookie. That's where we're at. So when the question is yeah, it's going downhill, man. I don't know what else to tell you guys, man. But look out for yourselves. Continue to be alert. Continue to be aware. Don't listen to these fucking idiots on these other social media platforms that keep telling you everything is cool, you know, and you know, Trump knows what he's doing, and they don't fucking know what he's doing. Half of them don't know shit about any empire, let alone Trump knowing what he's doing. He don't know what he's doing. He's just doing a lot of moves, and it makes it look like he's doing something. You know, he's here, he's there, he's doing. You know, he's shaking hands. But that doesn't mean that shit is getting done. Like that doesn't mean that the necessary things are getting done. But people will pump your heads up on social media, making it seem like that's what it is. You just go down the timeline, and you know, this face, that face, all the same faces telling you the same shit. Wrong. But that's all I got for you guys. Like and subscribe to this video. It's a small channel, but we plan on doing big things. And remember, the truth is in session. Peace.